Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shred Show Live. I am your host, Josh Pitts, and I'm going to tell you what, I know I'm excited. I get enthused, but my guest hanging out with me today, he is literally somebody I have watched from afar for years, somebody who inspired parts of my business. He's an international speaker. He's an author. He's been featured on Forbes, probably one of my favorite podcasts, The School of Greatness with Lewis Howes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have John Ruhlin joining us today. You're not going to want to miss this. Volume up. Let's go, Shred. I'm serious, ladies and gentlemen. When I say this, my heart's like pounding, is like beating, because John is one of those guys that is somebody who has influenced my life. I've watched him over the years, and I'm like, and I got to joke about this because John Hall, we're gonna give John a little bit of shit from this, because I thought we were having John Hall on the show, and then I found out it was John Ruhlin this morning. I'm like, what? Wait, what do you mean? I got to get prepared. Like, what do I do? It's John Ruhlin. Do you guys know who this is? He's the author of Giftology. Like, oh my gosh. So anyway, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit right now.
Does he pump you up or what, John?
A little bit.
I know, man. I feel like I'm floating. I'm like, can you do my introduction to every international keynote I do? I'll crush it just with that intro alone.
Done, dude. Well, I'll go travel with you. We'll have some fun with it. But no, John, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule and coming and hanging out with, of course, Don Getling from DG Media, who's hosting Momentum Builder, which that's our main topic today. But honestly, John, I'm excited to have you because we were talking about this as we were getting ready. This event, Momentum Builder 2021, I mean, just the lineup alone, it started. What's cool, and you mentioned this, and I kind of want to highlight it. It starts with one relationship. You know, we talked about Brittany Hodak, who's a good friend of all of ours. You start a conversation, you build a relationship, and then she introduces John Hall. And then John introduces you. And the next thing you know, we got Jesse Itzler, Hal Elrod. You got all these incredible speakers, but that's the power of relationships, which that's what your book is all about. I know it's in the gifting, being called Giftology, but it's that relationship. It's building that in the very beginning. So
nobody cares about gifts.
Nobody
cares. I mean, honestly, like whether you're in real estate or financial services or pro sports, like nobody cares. Nobody wakes up at doing their miracle morning saying, "Hey, if I just got my gifting strategy together, my business would flourish." But everybody's business, whether you're a solopreneur, sales rep, or a billion-dollar company, rises and falls on relationships. And most people suck at showing gratitude, staying top of mind, and building deep, meaningful. Not check the box with the Amazon gift card, not check the box with a fruit basket at Christmas. How do you show up for people meaningfully? Your referral sources, your clients, your employees, your centers of influence. Most people are horrible at that, even with their wife or their husband, let alone their most valuable business relationships. That's what Giftology is. The gift is just the delivery vehicle for the emotion. And so, yeah, 100%. It's all like every business, every industry. I don't care if you're Google, it all rises and falls on relationships.
Oh man, it's so true, especially in this industry and mortgage, real estate. Like you said, it doesn't matter. It all rises and falls on relationships. It's not about the gift. And you talk about this. I actually went back literally like a little while ago when I knew it was you. I went back and watched that podcast again with Lewis Howes. And again, even being 4 years old, it's so relevant to today. Like it's so impactful what you talk about and building that relationship. Starting those conversations, being top of mind when somebody's in the kitchen using that Cutco knife, which one thing I have to highlight too, is that you and I have similar when it comes, I wanted to be a doctor. When I graduated like top of my class. Really? Like I wanted to be a doctor. Like I was going pre-med. Like I was like, but I dropped out to go into sales. And I'm like, you know what? I can't do the whole school thing. I dropped out and went into sales, and I've never looked back. And now, being an entrepreneur like you, it's so when I heard that again, I'm like, oh my gosh, me and John, we're like best buddies, him and I. So
cut from the same cloth, baby. Yeah, no,
pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. I got plenty of them.
I'll be here all day.
But also recognize that, again, you are a speaker, you have a great book, but also #1 sales rep of all time with Cutco. I think that record still stands, right?
Yeah, the Cutco has been around for 70 years. They've had 2 million people as distributors or sales reps globally. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're still to this day. The New York Times interviewed us 2 years ago and said, "What's the hot new sexy gift?" And I'm like, "The stupid knives." And they laughed. They thought I was joking. I was like, no, I said, seriously. Especially during a pandemic, but in 2021, what do we want to do with people? We want to connect. We want to break bread. We want to have food and wine and drink. Where do we sit? Where's the hub of the house?
At the table, man.
Yep. I mean, you gather with your inner circle, your friends, your family, your people that you love around the table and break it. And most people will have a $10,000 Sub-Zero fridge or $15,000 Wolf stove in their kitchen, and they have the stupid knives that they got when they got married 20 years ago or 12 years ago. So if you send them personalized with their name on it, their logo, their family name on it, like they're going to use it because they got Bed Bath & Beyond knives. And it's so people don't understand, like people are like, really, the knives seem silly, or the giftology thing, that seems woo-woo. And I'm like, the way we landed Gary Vaynerchuk, his interview was giftology. Like we took care of over 6 years. We landed the interview because we loved on him. I never asked him to be on the show. It was his team that ended up saying, well, your message would be perfect for it. So people say like the gifting doesn't work, and it's because they're not doing gifting. They're doing manipulation. They're giving a gift and then asking for a referral. They think they're doing giftology. They're like, I'm like, did you follow the recipe? And they're always like, well, we did giftology-ish. And I'm like, imagine if you make bread 100,000 times, but you don't put in yeast every single time. You're not going to, I don't care what you do, you're not going to get bread. And if you don't understand relationships, and really that's the core of Momentum Builder, the core of the event is there are little details around how you build relationships. The gift matters. The handwritten note matters. How you show up for people matters. The video you send matters. The technology that you deliver with matters. All of those little things translate, and people are like, oh, there's a hack, there's a shortcut. There's no shortcut. There is a system, there is a recipe, there's a plan. If you follow the plan, then you, over time, over decades, not over days, everybody says they play the long game. And it's like 3 days later, they want to have the big success. Like that's not how, that's not how life works.
No, it doesn't. And Don, that's why this event, Momentum Builder 2021, that is actually coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, March 22nd.
Next week, buddy.
Next week. Oh my gosh, next week from today, Monday, we start. I can't believe that time flies. But that's kind of like John is saying, you guys have put together this event that is not just like, it's not just about building relationships. It's all the key elements. There's so many factors, so many speakers that are going to be brought into play. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you guys can actually see. But Don, you guys brought together just a plethora of incredible speakers.
Well, thanks to, great people like John. I call it the fraternity of givers. Started with Brittany, then it started with John, started with you. And then we said, how do we create an incredible event that is impactful and done the right way, not sales, just like you mentioned, John. You can't just give a gift with something in expectation, you're just expecting something in return. If you give value, our whole concept, and that's why you jumped on board, Josh, and why you jumped on board, John, was I like this concept. If we just give and everybody pours their soul and does a great job of relaying their message that can change lives, how can it not be impactful? And how can it not be impactful for us as well? And it just kind of multiplied. John got Hal Elrod. And then, hey, you want Jesse Itzler, a billionaire, owns Atlanta Hawks, started Marquee Jets, coconut water with Damon, I mean, it goes on and on, these speakers, and it just multiplied. Everybody here is a giver, which is really nice because this is our third year. We've had other years where we had people that were takers. They went up and wanted to sell something. No one here. Yes. Do they have tools and opportunities to help you along in your life? Of course. But they have such good messages. I mean, any one of these speakers, especially John and Josh here, can impact your life without a doubt. But we have 19 presentations, that are going to change your life. It's so exciting.
It is exciting. And so, John, I mean, I've got to ask, you're talking about how to best leverage appreciation. I'm sure you're going to be talking a little bit about giftology, your book, but maybe give a little bit of a teaser, if you will, of what you're really going to be focusing on during this.
Yeah, I mean, our playbook is, based on thousands of years of other people, wisdom. If you look at Proverbs 18:16, it says, a gift ushers you before kings. We all want access to the deal makers. We all want access to the referral sources. We all want access to these people. But we don't have a system and a process to consistently show up for those relationships. We think that a text message can substitute a handwritten note. They're both important, but one has more weight. One has more gravitas. We all want to be top of mind, but we send trinkets and tchotchkes and stupid stuff. And we wonder why nobody's emotionally connected. There's a system and a science and a process to building relationships, to getting referrals without asking, to showing up for people. And we walk people through step by step. Here's what we've done for 21 years. You want to know how we landed Google as a client and on their stage? You want to know how we did this? People will ask, when I spoke at Google, John, some engineer raised his hand. Does this work in technology? And I laughed. I said, are there human beings here? And they said, yeah, 60,000 of them. I'm like, well, then it works. It works in mortgage. It works in real estate. It works in financial services. It works in widget manufacturing. It's all people. And we forget, like in 2021, there's a strong, even more so after COVID, we long for connection. We long to be seen as a human being, not a number. And yet, like, we think that like all of the digital strategies are what, like how that happens. It doesn't. It happens because of one mentor. It happens because of 10 referral sources. It happens because of 50 of your top clients. It happens because maybe a sponsor of, a media channel gets a hold of you and broadcasts you. It's one-to-one. Yeah, it's cool to have 10 million followers on Twitter, but usually the big deals that happen one-to-one, one human to one human. And so the core of the message is that it's walking through and understanding this is how you play the game if you want those kind of long-term relationships. And if you don't, like, that's fine, but don't expect to have the success of the people that are willing to play the long game.
Oh man, see, go ahead, Don.
Well, I was just going to say what's kind of cool is anyone who listens to your message on or shares your message with their team, which I did. I shared it with my marketing team, and it's so funny, John. They busted my balls because I'm like, oh, let's go ahead and send this out and some swag and this and that. And they're like, really? So you're just going to send out your logo, nothing personal, are you? I'm like, what? And they're like, did you not listen to John's, all his message? We're not going to do that. And this is my team. Busting my mother. They're like, no, we don't do that anymore. They're
looking at the recipe and they're like, this, you want to make bread and over here you're making crackers. Like, that's not like they both have similar ingredients, but they deliver very differently. And that's what people.
You helped us with our message, and we've been talking for, as well as you, Josh. You guys have been instrumental in the development of Momentum Builder and keeping the momentum going for this huge event. But we were talking about, okay, John, let's talk about us and how we should, walk the walk. And one of the things was, what are you doing over the holidays? And I'm like, oh, we're going to do cut cone knives that are, and this is coincidental because I believe in it, because you can personalize it. You're like, okay, when you send it out, I'm like, Christmas. He's like, read the book.
Dumb.
And so we switched it up and we sent them out during a more, proper timing, which was Thanksgiving, when everybody's going to be around the table, all that. We sent out then 10 times the response level from everybody. 1, they didn't expect to get such a nice gift. 2, personalized. And 3, during Thanksgiving, when they didn't expect it, thank you. Your message and your playbook works. Plain and simple.
Well, it's why it's stupid to only do gifts at closings or at transactional. Everybody says in a relationship building business, and you only give gifts at tit for tat times. A closing, a referral. Those are a obligatory expected times. If you want to, it's like only showing up for your spouse on anniversaries, birthdays, and Christmas. You don't earn brownie points. You just stay at even. Yep. If you're a smart realtor or loan officer or somebody in any sort of relationship building business, if you want to do a deal gift, that's fine. But save your dry gunpowder and spend budget at 6 month, 12 month, 18 month, 20. Like the builders that we work with, when they show up with a gift at month 12, that's 10 times more than most people do at the closing. The amount of referrals that they get is 100 times more. Why? Because they're showing up for people at an unexpected time. It's not rocket science. We all love to be surprised and delighted. But when do we do our gifts? At expected times. It's not a surprise, and they're not very delighted. Why? Because they knew it was coming. And then, by the way, it was probably food or a gift card or some tchotchke with a logo on it. Hey, thanks for your $500,000 purchase. Here's a keychain or a mug with my logo on it. Are you insane? The biggest purchase of their life. The biggest purchase of their life, and you're showing up with a tchotchke at an expected time, and then you have the nerve to ask for referrals.
Oh yeah.
Are you out of your mind? Like, that's nuts. But that's what we do because we look around.
You should get passionate about this, John.
Yeah.
Dude, this is like, I see it happen all the time. It's like people are spending money to piss off, annoy, or frustrate, or cause guilt. People feel bad when they get crap they don't want at a time that's expected. And now they have to say thank you, even though they don't mean it. You want to talk about like a bad source of investment. Make your most important relationships feel guilty and have to obligatory say thank you.
Dude, this is such a brilliant conversation. I hope everybody listening, like seriously, this value right now, it goes well beyond. And we're just starting to touch the tip of the iceberg going into Momentum Builder 2021. We're going to get like 10 minutes of the John. Like, this is why you want to tune in. This is why you want to go register right now for the Momentum Builder 2021, because you get to hear John for 45 minutes talk about this. Like I said, the value he shared in 10, like your head's you're gonna be just blown away. So,
John, how proud of you? Look at this. See this? This is what we did instead of a typical thing. We're so lucky to have you on the team. Sent out this. They didn't expect this stuff. So we're doing
Out of
these
nowhere.
Out of nowhere. They're like, oh, this is cool. So lucky to have you part of the family. Boom. And everybody, we get so much response for it. You know, I'm waiting for somebody to quit because they won. But anyways, like, I won 75 grand. See you next year.
Yeah, right, man. Loyalty can't be bought. Loyalty is based upon an emotional connection. People aren't working for you. I mean, it's in the top 5. Most people leave, for other reasons, and usually it's respect and appreciation and opportunity for growth. I don't care if you're an employee in any sort of industry. The best players will stick around making okay money, but if they have autonomy, if they have respect, if they have appreciation. So many people think they can just write a check and their relationship problem goes away. And personally and professionally, that does not work because you're dealing with emotional beings. So the fact that you show up for people with lottery tickets saying, hey, I'm just, feel lucky to work with you. That's not the thing you do for the entire year. That's a nice little touch. It's not an artifact. It's not a $1,000 artifact mug. That's not Cutco knives, but it's a fun touch that says, hey, I was thinking of you and I did something not because I had to, because it was your birthday. I did it because I wanted to, because I chose to. And when you do things because you chose to, not out of obligation, because you had to check the box, relationships are like, wow, people are like, I can't believe, out of all the things that happen in a day, most surprises suck. Most of the surprises in a week as a business leader, as a parent, like you get sucky surprises.
Oh yeah.
You show up for people in a positive way with I was thinking of you. Like that's where people are like, wow, that person's thoughtful. Go ahead.
So John, I want to know this now because our industry is so bad at this. They give that closing gift. They give it to a realtor, like trying to almost create that sense of guilt. So when do you, I want to kind of tease this as we wrap this up here. So when is the best? When is there a timing wise where you really should? I don't want to give too much away, but timing wise, when do you give that gift to really make an impact?
Yeah. Well, I think you can do the closing gift, but know that it's expected.
Sure.
Make it as personal, thoughtful, unique, include the inner circle, all of the things that we talk about in the giftology system. I mean, we walk through people, like our whole playbook, they can go download, giftologysystem.com, walks through step by step. But one of the key things is called planned randomness. And all that means is we lay out over the course of 5 years with a relationship, when are the times I can show up for them that they're not going to expect it? How can I include their spouse, their assistant, their team, their kids, their pets, the people that are around them? So it's basically laying out whether it's 2 times a year, 4 times a year. Like, I don't think it should be every month. That starts to feel like the jelly of the month club. And you're like, like Chevy Chase style, but showing up for people once a quarter out of the blue in year 2 and year 3 and year 4. Like the way I landed the Cubs as a client was I showed up for them 7 years in a row. I gifted them 7 years before they became a client.
Got to show up, people. You got to show up.
Show up in uncommon ways. A lot of people show up with lame stuff. That'll sometimes earn you the business just with pleasant persistence. But you show up in uncommon ways. You put both of those together, it's game over because very few people show up, and even fewer people show up consistently year after year, not day after day, not month after month, year after year, loving on. So if I was a realtor or loan officer, I would take my most important clients and my most important centers of influence, brokers, whatever else, and I would lay out a 3-year or a 5-year plan, a relationship plan. And I would back into it. I'd say I made $1 million. I made 100 grand last year. I'm going to reinvest. I'm going to retie 10%. That's 10 grand back into those relationships, not at closings, whatever else, ongoing. If I made $1 million as a company, I'm reinvesting minimum 100 grand. People are like, that's a lot of freaking money. I'm like, you get to keep 900 G's and they're buying their own gifts. That's not a lot of money.
They're buying their own gifts.
Net profit, you're reinvesting back into people because you don't have a business without those relationships. You keep 90, they get 10. Are you out of your, that's a pretty good equation.
I will spend $1 to make 10 every day of the week.
Yeah, show me that ATM machine where I put my card in and I put $1 in and $10 spits back out. I want that. But that's the power. Like people talk about Facebook ads, whatever else, those are cool. There's no more powerful investment than investing in people. Period. End of the story. So, but have a 5-year plan and show up for people month 6 and year 3 and year 5. That's if I was in the real estate game, that's what I would be doing because that's what I do.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
Right?
John's like hitting, like that's a perfect way to lead off. But John, like this is something, again, we're just getting into this, ladies and gentlemen. Starting next week, March 22nd, you have to register for Momentum Builder. There's still, through today, there's still an early bird special, right, Don? You can still get
you
in.
have actually even a bigger discount. You get, with the Shred 2021, you get $100 off. It's only $129 for a week-long event, 20 presentations that you'll have access to during the event, after the event, plus the more
Don,
momentum campaign.
add 2 zeros to that price tag. This, like,
I know.
people don't take it seriously unless they have skin in the game. They're going to show up thinking that, like, we're going to talk about rainbows and unicorns. Like,
well, our goal was, John, our goal was to get impact as many people as possible, and we lowered the price. You were generous. You were generous as well in your fee, because you're like, I want to impact people. I'm in. I want to be part of this fraternity of givers. Josh, you've given up so much time to help change people's lives, and that's really what we want to do. And it's gonna be fun. I mean, we get to host this thing from American Dream TV Studios. Gino and I are goofballs. We're gonna have some fun. And every presentation, because I've gotten to know all of you, it's amazing. Everyone, I go to a seminar just to hear you, John. Just to hear you, Josh, on how to have impact with your message. And that's why we love hearing you. You impact me every time I just hear you speak.
Let's go. That's
you are opening the show, Josh.
I know. I'm excited for it. I'm excited.
Every day we're using. It's funny you said that, John. You're like, oh, you should open for me. We're opening every show with that voice because it pumps Gino and I up. We're ready.
Dude, smart man. Dude, I love the energy. A bad intro puts you 6 feet under. You got to like recover from that as a speaker.
Right? You got to come back. You're like, I got to dig myself out of this.
Are you serious?
Guys, what you have seen right now, that's worth $129. What John just gave you, this little bit of advice, this little bit of knowledge and expertise, this just is, again, the beginning. So you don't want to miss his entire presentation. And you're speaking on Thursday, the 25th. Guys, you do not want to miss. Go sign up right now. We've put the link below. We have our Shred 2021 code in there, so you guys can get that discount. Sign up right now. Save your spot, because, again, this has just been a beginning. We want to have a huge shout out to Don Gehling, Gino, the entire DG Media for Momentum Builder 2021. And again, we cannot thank John Ruhlin enough for joining us this morning, being willing to share a little bit of his expertise and his knowledge. John, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys.
Woo-woo. Thank you. Can't wait for Momentum Builder.
Momentum Builder 2021, ladies and gentlemen, just around the corner. As always, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you guys to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you again so much for joining us for today's show. If you like the content, make sure you hit that like button below. And if you already haven't subscribed to our channel, click right over here and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to see our latest video, click over here. And again, if you want to see the best of daily content within the mortgage and real estate industries, you have to subscribe now. We look forward to having you shred with us every single day.